everyone, this is Jurgita with Magic Pan Crafts, and I'm starting the second part of March, and I could also say first day of official quarantine. No schools today since it's a Monday for and until at least the end of the March. So we got all the stuff picked up as the packets from elementary school, got all the stuff from a high school, grabbed my college kid, was doing online, I guess, classes. And interesting thing that at the magical school, this week's homework is named Kidnapped. It's based on the books that we're reading, Kingdom Keepers. And it seems like we've been kidnapped by our house, trying not to set foot out. We'll see how long it takes before we try to get for each other's throats, being cooped up. It's planning to rain probably for at least 4 days, so it's not much fun being outside. So in short, we'll see how much we can live in together. It's going to be like a homeschooling and trying to entertain each other and be in peace. So what you see in front of you is our famous George Washington crossing Delaware River. And I'm part of this project that we're stitching 112 of us. And my piece is just a bit of the sky corner. And I'm continuing this for one of the extra stitching things, individual. And I'm just finished page 41 out of like 100. And if you've never been before, this is how wide it is. So it's about 10 pages wide. It's on a 18 count. And I'm just working these kind of colors, just going at it. So 41, I think it was about maybe here or there, one of those. But anyway, so that's how much I want to do, about 2 rows of these until the end of next February. So I have about good 11 months to do twice this row. We'll see how well it goes. And then after doing this for a little bit, because been going at it for a while, from what it seems like I put in probably like this much already. And then I'll do my homework. I picked what 3 parts of weekly homework can be done. And once I'm done with this, I'll show you what I picked for that. So happy St. Patrick's Day, and we had corned beef and cabbage with potatoes made in the crock pot. Funny thing, I was so happy to put it on early enough. I thought, well, if for very slow cooking, 8 hours, 4 pounds of corned beef would be great. And almost 4 hours later, when I go lunch, some kind of nagging thing was going in my head. And right after lunch, I check and I forgot to plug in my crock pot. I turned it on, but I forgot to plug it in. So it had to go in a high, and it didn't have to be not 6, but after 7 o'clock. So yeah, Irish Day, all green. And I did some stitching on a blue and gray sky. And I'm thinking that eventually soon I'll be getting maybe some kind of lighter colors, not those gloomy gray. And I'll show you what I've done since yesterday. So by counting kind of the columns, I finished the one that stopped the last little episode part, and I did a whole another column. So decided to stop at that. And I ran today in not Home Depot, Hobby Lobby, and I got these Kumihimo plastic bobbins. Like, these were a bit bigger ones. They didn't have a small ones at that time, but I thought that was great. And the way I decided to do is, you see it sort of when you open up, it looks like a cup. So the flat was against the fabric, and once I wrapped my thread on it, just kind of click like that, and it sits like a little alien spaceship. So hopefully it will be a little bit less tangles. And yeah, today's gotten even more crazier. Turns out all church services are canceled until further notice for us. Even the library, it was announced suddenly that library is closing. So I have 2 libraries in about the same time that I could drive in both its opposite ways. So went in one that we usually go to, and it was saying it's closed at 8. We went in there, and we were not allowed to even go and pick our own stuff. Right there by the door they had a computer station, and you say what you want, they look it up and bring it out to you. That was it. So of course we couldn't come up with my daughter, we couldn't come up with many things to look for, and there was lots of people getting there to grabbing many books and movies and stuff, and we got just a few things, what's like from the top of our heads as the books go. And we drove to another one, and it closed already in the morning. So that was tough luck. And so it's getting crazier and crazier, it seems like it. Apparently movie theaters are shutting down. All the restaurants can do only like a takeouts. Yeah, it's getting madness. Like a home arrest for all of us sitting at home. My husband is also now working from home. Luckily, doctor's offices are still open, right? And pharmacy and some grocery stores. So after setting this aside, because this was not part of my homework, it's just like extra. I don't know how I'll be able to do any more reading extra credit things. Maybe our headmistress will take pity on us and do some changes, but for stitching I can do something. So let's see, for my stitching for this week, we have to stitch on something that it would have all 4 items in one, and that's supposed to spell cage, C-A-G-E. So I looked it up close because a lot of my projects don't have many different things in it. So I saw some crowns. It's for C. For A, I got different type of animals. There's all kinds of animals. There's like weird lion creatures going on here, some kind of clawed, I don't know, is that like a deer thing? And very interesting sort of squirrel with a rake on the tail. For G, it was a girl. Of course, there is a girl right there. And for E is our evergreen trees. I can't tell what those flowers are called or anything, so that's what I decided to use for my first part of homework, and have to stitch 400 stitches. And by the way, that's Shakespeare Peddler, Adam and Eve sampler. And this is what I'm going to be starting with. I got the fabric also from Teresa. And the words are over 1, except like a capital letters, it's over 2. And all the things are over 2 with 1 thread. So this is what I'm starting with. It's my very first like a sampler, and I'm enjoying it. The color palette is beautiful. Strange a little bit, not used to those kind of colors, but it's gonna be very pretty, very nice. Although stitching, what is it, 36 or 40 count, so 1 over 1, those letters were little tough to do, and I also try to have each word start and finish separate. I don't try to go like in between in the back. But that's what I'm gonna start. Watching some Flosstube, trying to catch up on some things, and gonna see if I could get books as audio. We have a Hoopla, I think, our library exchange, but you can get only 5 books a month per account. So it's gonna be tough. Yep, so this is what I'm starting. So again, happy St. Patrick's Day. Take a little dance, river dancing, or have a beer to this. Maybe it will kill all the bacteria that might be floating around. So let's see how it looks after 400 or so stitches. Well, it's getting into late evening on the quarantine day 3, the Wednesday, and I finished the homework requirement for this week for this piece. Well, two parts of homework I managed to squeeze with this piece. So second part was something to stitch that has words, and as you can see, there's quite a bit of words. Luckily I didn't have to stitch on the words, but something. Sorry, my throat. So I'm slowly gonna show you all the fabric. What I checked is close to like 42 count. I kind of crookedly stretched it out, but it's very small, so I'm stitching 1/2, and once I reach like needed to do 300 stitches, and I did like 330 or something like that. Geez, I can't even remember. I just posted. I guess it's getting late. So that's what it looks like now. It's kind of filling out. This thing is all done. Finished the crown piece and kind of started filling up, and this is what the border is gonna look like. All the kind of repetitions. So I reached the side, and this is what that part is what I'm working on. So I'm gonna set this aside, and there's gonna be one more homework part that's gonna be left for this week, and I'll show you in a second. And it requires something that I would think it's cool to have as a tattoo. So I think this, of course, it's kind of too big to have as a normal tattoo, so she would have to be shrunken, but I think she looks so cool and colorful to have as a tattoo, because she looks like, to me at least, that she knows what she's doing. She's confident in herself and not afraid to show it or stand out. So this is what I'm gonna be starting, and of course with the light and no back stitching, she looks totally different than what the picture mock-up is. So, and it's very dark fabric, and this, I know it's 25% already done, so I'm gonna start from this point, and I don't know if I'm gonna do more back stitching or I'm gonna try to finish full stitching and then do back stitching. Not sure yet, but this is where I'm gonna be starting. And she has the owl to protect her and help her out too, and that's what I'm gonna be hitting, and hopefully by tomorrow night in the day I'll be able to finish her, at least homework part. And it's quarantine day 6, the Saturday. Actually, it's considered a full quarantine, stay in the house kind of thing in the state of Illinois. I think from Monday, Missouri is implementing this, so it's very strict by law enforcement, I believe, even watched over event. So we're sticking at home, and all I've been stitching is on my witch. Since there was nothing else to do, I think I put quite a bit of stitch count in her. I finished all the homework part. I did some more like ultimate stitching, I believe, and help out with one of the parks, and I'll show you what it looks like now. And it's late in evening, but that's what I have. So you can already see her flow of hair. I've already started some back stitching to do, like a hair flowing there. It's with 2 threads, so it's very hard to do nice back stitch. I know you can do with like invisible thread, go from underneath instead, but I was trying to show for a designer how it would be done without extra those tips and tricks that everybody would notice. And there were some regular loose stitches. There were some French knots done already, and as you can see in the hat, I wrapped, it's also with 2 threads, I wrapped twice the thread around needle. It was not, I was not told how many times to do it. I usually do it twice. So that's what it looks like. If designer says it should be once, then I might have to tear it out and redo it. But been listening to quite a bit of Flosstube and podcasting and all the stories after the Nashville and people's fears. So, yep. That's what my wish is. I'm concentrating. I'm trying to keep myself happy with this and family happy with getting some movies from a Redbox rental. But that's a wish, and I was getting a little bit tired of stitching all those days and many hours, and I've decided to try to tackle down until Monday morning when it's the next weekly homework comes out in magical school. I'm gonna do some extra credit for March, and I'll show you what I picked. So this is Adam and Eve sampler, and since it has so many motifs, probably the most in the current list of whips that I have that has many different things. This one has a lot of things to do that you have to find specific items. So like you need to stitch a spell using items. So for word Chernabog, the next letter I would have to work with is A. So of course I have a Adam, this guy right there with the very weird kind of hip shapes in there. And I'm curious to see how this leaf skirt comes out for him. I've seen even at the Nashville showing very interesting outfit for Adam and Eve, and one of the samplers, don't remember whose it was, but they were doing reproduction samplers, and it looked very funny, and they were like somewhere like at the top portion, and it was funny looking. So I'm gonna stitch at least 100 on this, and then for last 3 letters I'm gonna use my George project. So once I finish this, I'll show you my George, what and how it fits in the monthly extra credit. Oh, I'll show you where I start. Great. So this is what it looks like right now. So I probably just gonna be filling in this part and moving up. Since it's like 42 count fabric, its stitches are very tiny, and it doesn't look like a huge progress is going to be done, but it will be some, at least 100 stitches will be less to do. So this is what it looks like, and for you it's going to be second to see how it turns out. So good morning on the 24th. Wow, it's been several days. So as promised, a second later you see extra stitches put in this. It's not a lot in the whole scheme, but it grows, right? Every stitch counts. And actually the past few days I've been stitching like crazy on a different pattern, I'll have to come back to this because it's already what, Tuesday, and I'm gonna be using this for this week's homework, which I believe is 1,000 stitches. But anyway, I'll show you what I've been working on already. And it's this Christmas wreath. So in the past few days I managed to catch up on all my comments. Some of them I found were like 8 months old. They were hiding, so I'm trying to be more diligent and going through all of them again to make sure that nothing was hidden. So I apologize for those who've been waiting for some acknowledgements for those videos, but I believe I'm all caught up to now, and this is what I've been working. Actually, during this stitching, I watched a virtual tour of Hermitage, which is in Russia, a giant palace. I think it's almost like a golden palace, and there's like over 5-hour long video that was shot with one of those new iPhone cameras. And it involved also some dance troupe and some musicians. So it was all non-stop video of slowly walking through some of the parts. And it was really relaxing and fun to kind of watch it because I have a laptop right there. So it was, I highly recommend it. I tried to do like a clicking tour of the Hermitage. I don't know how you pronounce it in English. And I was getting a little confused, so I got lost, I think, in those like a hanging garden area places and couldn't figure out which way to get back into the building where I was before. So that tour is really nice. It's a slow pace, but it zooms in quite few pictures. So it was very well tastefully done and artistically done too. And it's very good quality. So I'll have links posted below. There's a lot of museums, if you don't know, offering free virtual tours or just tours to check out online. And this morning I actually had, they have a breakfast with otters in St. Louis Aquarium that's in Union Pier Station. It's fairly new thing. I think it opened up in November. So we watched a few otters have breakfast, and questions were asked by people live on the Facebook, so it was fun. And right now I'm trying to catch up with the Pan and Stephanie. I was a little behind watching videos, so hi girls. Anyway, so I've been stitching on this in those past few days, and I did not get a shot of where it was before, but hopefully you'll remember from previous little segments where it was. And ta-da! And this is not done. I'm still gonna finish because I'm counting my stitches for some of the assignments, extra assignments. So started filling up all those with like one thread right now, feathery kind of branches, full stitch and half stitch, been filling up and going all the way down there. So the way I work, I have a pattern on not Pattern Keeper, other program. So I take a thread and I start working like in this area, and whatever it has in there I finish off the thread at least, and then again from here. So it does most of the job here and sort of trickles down there. But it's been going on. I haven't done back stitching this round yet, just the full stitches and half stitches, but this is what it looks like. And I'm back to being in love with this pattern, and again this is what it's gonna look like. And this designer has Instagram account. I'll put the link below too if you're interested. She has quite a few other patterns. So anyway, I'm gonna do this, and after that I guess I'll go back to my Adam and Eve sampler. So I'm gonna show you how it looks after some stitches put in this again, and then I'll be stitching Adam and Eve sampler. So I hope you're all staying well, and don't be too greedy with that toilet paper or masks. Most of the people are asked now to sew at home masks for hospitals and other important job people. It doesn't protect 100%, but at least 50% could be of the bacteria and air could be filtered through. So anything helps. So anyway, kids still homeschooling at home, so to speak, online. And we're slowly getting crazy. We might go for a walk in a neighborhood. Hopefully there are not going to be a lot of people doing the same thing at the same time. So trying to be out there as little as possible. Okay, so we'll see. The next little part is going to be the last, and until we have a little bit more time until the end of the month, so that's good. All right, and good night, late night on the 28th, so it's practically 29th already of March, and I didn't show you anything until now because I've been working only on one whip, and as you can see and probably recognize it, it's my George. Page 43 is finished. So that's all I've been working, and I think my needle was burning rubber, so to speak. I was using this for counting on some of the individual challenges at the School of Magical Stitches. So I've been working only on this all those days since when was the last episode? 23rd, 25th? So at least 3 days or 5 days this was occupying my needles and the thread, and I'm very excited. I finished 43rd page, but I'm done for now. I want to rest from this monotony, and gonna grab something else tomorrow. Hopefully it's gonna be Sunday, and we'll just watch church thing from via internet from home. And it's supposed to be storming and hailing even tonight, up to golf-size hail balls. So I'm definitely don't want to go outside anywhere in the morning just in case there's something still left over. Yesterday we had like 83 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like 27 Celsius temperature. It's the weather is just jumping back and forth. And I went to Walmart, got to grab a couple of things. Of course, there's no toilet paper, practically no paper towels, and no napkins on the shelf, so it's like a wind howling through there. But I was shocked that I saw kids, even the babies, sitting in the car seats and mother dragging around, and she was not alone. It was like a whole family going like regular shopping time. And there was one lady also holding a little dog in her hands. That's the very first I've ever seen that kind of thing. And I was buying fabric to make those masks. They didn't have a elastic band for that, but yeah, it was just ridiculous. So I'm gonna have to order online Joann's for a pickup at the curbside for elastic bands so I can make those masks. And exciting thing was today I had my very first YouTube live. It took a little bit to figure out how to do live because I had to download like a app for streaming, and my husband had to put in a passcode because he's usually that deals with security on all of our computers. So had to run back upstairs for that, and it was in Lithuanian language, very first that I've ever heard of doing live, so they were all excited to participate. And hopefully next time will be even more people. I think the ladies were a little bit shy to connect, and so yeah, so it was exciting. It will happen again in the middle of next week, but that's what I wanted to show you, that my George, it looks like this. So we'll see what I grab next. Hey, hello, on the morning of 29th, well, more closer to afternoon, lunchtime. So as you can see, I pulled out my Blackberry Lane Designs Mr.Baron von Bat guy, and I'm gonna work this for March extra credit stitching. So as you can see, if you've never seen this before, it has a front which is gonna have a little cushiony belly, and it's gonna have a back, and you fold her up. It's gonna include magnets that you can fold her up, and that's what's gonna be. I don't know if I'm gonna make it look like a hanging one with some kind of string on top, or just like that. I haven't decided, but as you know, for me, FFOing is like totally not the thing. So it might sit for a while loose like that, and I'll show you where I'm starting. So I have it sitting on a circle simple frame because it's such a small design, and I'm just going to be working on this wing. As you can see, it's not fully filled in, supposed to be. So yep, so it's a little thread here that's going to be for a back stitching, a little bit more on the face, and just going to be working on that. So I need to put in 300 stitches at least, and this is one of my projects to finish this year, so I probably should start going on this one. All right, so let's see. You're gonna see how much I've done in a second. And this is the very early morning of April 1st, and I'm gonna be wrapping up what I've been working in the last few days. So you remember what it looked like before, and ta-da! So I just worked a little bit more than required 300 stitches on this. I think I put in several hours in my Mr.Baron. So as you can see, the whole wing already has its bone structure in it, and if you can compare to the other side, which is already done, so it's not going to be fully filled in. It's going to be some sporadic excess put in there. And I finished the thread that had back stitching done here, kind of outlining a little bit, although you can't see much on the inside. But that's what I'm leaving this in the March, and then of course it's gonna be the back side to do, like here, a hole behind. It's gonna be all dark colors, not much of the pinkish face or anything like that. And I'll show you what I worked after this Baron, which I spent only a couple hours on. So another one I had much more put in, and it was hard to set aside. So wait for a second and you'll see. And it's this May Night Witch, or Witch of May Night. Don't know exactly how it translates, but something like that. I'm doing the model stitching, and it's not very easy to do on this color fabric. That's, I guess, supposed to be like linen even weave. And ta-da! There you go. Sorry, the window reflection is there. That's how it's easier for me to see what's behind. So I finished all the way up to like here, all the back stitching done. The hair is still gonna be doing some outlining, but if you have like a light moved out a little bit darker, so it looks great. Fabric is much darker, like this is more natural color. And I had to start the month, I believe, like about 25%, and now I'm like closer to 60%. So lots of back stitching done, lots of French knots in the sky, in her hat, and on her dress. This one was done with 1 thread. These were done with 2 threads, and lots of back stitching. So some Flosstube videos and podcasts really helped when I was concentrating on this lady. And right now, since it's such a dark color fabric, you can slightly see behind the darkness, but I'm hoping after slight washing and ironing out that it's all gonna be a little bit much nicer. And you can see a little bit of her leg. That's her boot is gonna start to show up, and I'm gonna continue in the April with this work too. So I want to finish before May, and because it's May Night Witch, so I'd like to have her fully done to celebrate Nights of May. So you see the kind of, I don't know what would it be called. It's not exactly like a belt, but sash hanging, I guess, here. And once I started putting back stitching face, it really changed the whole picture. Instead of just some kind of creamy blob, so to speak. I guess the little necklace could have been something a little bit more. In the picture, it shows up a little bit more than in the stitching itself, but I still like it, and I hope you like it too. And as you probably already seen, I've done my first live chat with Lithuanian stitchers, and this afternoon I'm gonna do the second one. So if you don't understand language and you just want to listen some kind of my chatting and reading, you can. Otherwise, you don't have to. And my hope in the future is to do some like interview videos with some other stitchers, and not only stitchers. So it's going to be marked as a different, you know, type of video in the language, so you don't have to click on that if you don't want to. And on the last note, also due to this virus, I had an interesting idea, and I even suggested to pass along to other few Flosstubers to pass it along, that you know how a lot of designers started offering free patterns they created for this virus battling time. And my idea is to stitch at least one and give that as a thank you gift to all those essential workers. It doesn't have to be just in a hospital. It can be firemen, it can be a mailman, you know, or somebody just sort of like a hello and thank you. And that, I think, would be also as a nice gesture to our designers, that their designs going to be sitting not only in our homes, but you know, in your nursing home or somewhere. So if you like that idea, you're welcome to do. There's so many designs to choose from, and I think that would be cool. So I think I'm gonna finish this second part of March wrap up, and I hope you're all well, and we'll be waiting for your comments. And I guess until the next time, bye bye.